Have you ever wanted to travel somewhere in Minecraft very quickly without having to commit genocide on an innocent iceberg to build nether highways? Well, I have just the solution for you. A command block. Just kidding. I spent 300 plus hours to bring you this. Let's get started. So I was randomly browsing YouTube one day when I saw a video on version 1.16.2 pre-release 1 that brought an important change to Minecraft. Ender pearls now float in bubble columns. Seeing this change inspired me to dive deeper, and I found some videos with basic ender pearl storage mechanisms. Some used daylight sensors or manual activation to teleport the player and got 1.6 million views? Nah, I could do better, and I will. But first, another tangent. These ender pearl stasis chambers are closely related to another topic which, for good reason, has been very difficult to develop, and that is wireless redstone. You see, the dream is for there to be an ender pearl storage chamber combined with a wireless activation signal that can teleport you insane distances across your Minecraft world without having to build long redstone lines. As I said, for good reason, this has been underdeveloped because it's quite overpowered if a simple solution can be found. But, as Providence would have it, I came across an interesting video regarding an old feature that could create wireless redstone. Wolves will sit down when the player dies, leaves the game, and most importantly, enters another dimension. This means you can detect when a player enters and leaves a dimension and use it anywhere in your world to send a redstone signal as long as your wolf detection system is in loaded chunks. Foundational inspiration for this part of the project came from Ilmango, a prominent YouTuber I'm pretty sure most people know, and a small YouTuber named Engineer02. Both of these YouTubers created designs to detect when a wolf sits down. However, these designs are not optimal for my situation because of oscillations, whether it's the wolf jumping or being pushed by a piston to refresh a delay. These designs do accomplish the end goal of detecting a change in dimension, but have about a 10-second window for activation, which is much too large for a precise output. Engineer02's design uses an interesting feature. When a wolf sits, a lead is unable to pull it. This concept combined with a force that always pushes the wolf is enough to create a perfectly accurate sitting detection chamber. Disclaimer: no wolves were harmed in the making of this machine. That tangent aside, let me explain this mechanism, specifically the pushing force, otherwise known as boats. Sorry, the other kind of boat. Boats have two types of hitboxes, a pushing hitbox and a solid hitbox. How this works is the pushing hitbox lets entities inside, but will push them away until they are outside of the pushing hitbox. The solid hitbox acts as any normal block would, and entities' hitbox cannot go inside of it despite outside forces.
But wait, where does the lead come into play?
Shh! I'm getting to that part. The lead will exert enough force on the wolf to override the boat's pushing hitbox and stop it at the solid hitbox when it is standing. When the wolf sits, the lead loses all resisting force and the pushing hitbox of the boat forces the wolf to the opposite side of the contraption. Thus I present to you wolf sitting detection, which will be relevant later in the video. For any transfer of information through redstone, there has to be a receiver and a transmitter. Unlike the receiver, the transmitter is not player specific, but I suppose I can touch on that more later. There is not anything too crazy happening with the transmitter itself. The player rides the minecart to begin the process where they are then ejected into the nether portal and enter the nether. The minecart is only necessary for this process because it acts as a transfer of information, namely, when the player will re-enter the overworld. Once in the nether, the player is transported onto a pressure plate which activates a timer. This timer ensures the delay of each receiver can reset. Again, I will cover that later. Once the timer has waited the correct amount of time, the player will go back into the overworld, which is where the show begins. You may have noticed a distinct of the minecart leaving a dispenser into the overworld. This minecart is what makes the machine potato friendly, aka if you were using a toaster to run Minecraft, the machine will still teleport you regardless of nether loading delay because of the minecart. Really, that is all you need to know. Once you are back in the overworld, based on the delay you selected at the beginning, the portal will break and be relit, transporting you back into the nether. At this point, the machine has successfully activated and the player will be teleported when the machine takes them to the overworld once again. The receiving part of this mechanism is where the real magic happens, as many different iterations took place to result in the final product. This constant innovation is due to one of these machines having to be made for each player for every different location. For example, if you have 20 players and let's say 20 different locations, you would have to make 400 different machines to accommodate all of them. Because of this, resource and space efficiency is very important, and I'm proud to say that this machine has been compacted enough to fit roughly 512 of these machines in a single chunk. This only uses this many resources with the current design.
How is this possible?
These machines are at a size of 2 blocks wide, 8 blocks long, 8 blocks tall, well, technically 9, but forget about that one, for each machine. Using the previously mentioned wireless wolf receiver, the machine can detect whenever a player changes dimension and has a timer with specific delay to choose when the machine will activate. Items in these hoppers create a delay but take time to reset, so the player will have to wait out this time in the nether. When the player reaches the overworld, the wolf switches positions, starting the timer. In the overworld, the portal relights, sending the player into the nether again, and the wolf will switch positions yet again, activating the other portion of the machine. If the timer finishing and the wolf switching positions coincide with each other, the machine will activate. Ender pearls can't teleport players who are in different dimensions, so when the player arrives in the overworld for the second time, if the machine is activated, the player will be teleported. Due to the precise timing of this machine, the window for these events to happen is only 1/10 of a second or 1 redstone tick, and any other delay will not teleport the player. Because of the small window, adjustments can be made to choose what delay will activate the machine by changing repeater timings or adding items to the timer. Unfortunately, there are some drawbacks to this system. An issue that is universal to almost every Ender Pearl teleporter is dying causes your Ender Pearls to despawn. This renders the machine useless, and with no easy fix, the only solution currently is to avoid dying. Not ideal, I know, but it's all I have. The transmitter also requires one use of a flint and steel every time it relights the portal, meaning there is a semi-non-renewable resource in this mechanism. The storage built into the current design contains an absurd amount of flint and steel uses, but be aware that in a couple thousand years you may need to restock. Chunk loaders are also vital to the operation of these mechanisms. Chunk loading using nether portals allows the wolves and redstone components to update when the player changes dimensions, regardless of where they are in their Minecraft world. I include this because when a server shuts down, all chunk loaders are rendered useless until the player starts them again. Currently, there is no solution to this problem, but you never know what changes caves and cliffs could bring. The receiver of this mechanism uses 3 separate entities to accomplish wolf detection. Many of you may know that entities in Minecraft are very laggy in large numbers. Using the previous figure of 400 machines, in that case there would be 1,200 entities being constantly loaded by chunk loaders, not even mentioning the difficulty in obtaining those entities. This section is less of an issue but more of a disclaimer. Rendering large amounts of chunks while using this machine will keep it from functioning. I had my friend try the machine with 48 chunks rendered and it didn't work, but it did work with 16, so watch out for that. The theory behind this machine is using wolves to detect when a player enters another dimension and with specific timing an output can be given. This segment is included because while editing this video, I came across another wireless detection system made by 2No2Name and showcased by RedstoneWarper. This design uses a completely different wireless design, but there is also a different version of the player dimension tracker which uses a possibly buggy feature but is more optimized because it uses 1 entity instead of 3. I'll link the video and say that this is a possible improvement from my current design, so feel free to check that out if you are interested. I would like to thank all of you for watching this far. Don't forget to subscribe to Redstone Engine and comment any questions you have below. Share this video to anyone you think might be interested, and with that being said, goodbye.
You gonna